Thanks for listening to Get in the Hole, your number one stop for all things in the world of golf. Watch and subscribe anywhere you get your favorite shows on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Google, and more. Just search Get in the Hole. Get in the Hole is the official golf pod of the Underground Sports Philadelphia family of podcasts. Now let's get right into the action. Here's your hosts, Steve McAvoy and Ben Pirro.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
Kevin Garnett came out with this proposal for All-Star Weekend, as you were telling me. 10 players, rap battle for $1 million. Now, relating it to golf, I mean, I don't think it's plausible. I don't think anybody can fit the mold as like a good rapper, especially if you look at the cast of people. Aside from Harold Varner would be a great rapper. He's very with the culture. Bubba Watson would be a good rapper. Honestly, you know what? If LIV and the PGA ever had a Ryder Cup, if there was a rap battle based, I'd probably go LIV. The guys who wear the Jordans and the Nikes on the course, I think they are kind of the guys who would lead. And Tony Finau would be kind of dirty. HV3 would be pretty good. Bubba would be solid.
Something tells me Tom Kim can spit bars.
Tom Kim could probably join BTS and do a great job.
He can probably spit some bars.
I don't know.
He's that one that it doesn't look like it, but when the lights come on, the stars shine bright.
Now, you put Tom Kim, you put Siwoo Kim, and you put Sunjae Im in a K-pop group. I think they go hard.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, again, I don't know if a rap battle would necessarily be great, but a talent show, I guess, and see what everyone does. At the end of the day, all I want to see is Victor Hovland go screamo. That's really it. Victor Hovland go screamo. Rory McIlroy him or Tyrrell Hatton, probably more Hatton because he's a leprechaun, can probably do a mean Irish jig or a river dance or some sort of Tyrrell Hatton could also be a really good Irish step dancer. He probably taught his daughters to do it. It would probably then add up, I think. But I don't know, rappers on the PGA Tour, I just I don't really see it.
I flipped it and I said, you take the concept of a 10-person competition, but instead of it's NBA All-Star Wild and Out edition.
Yo, actually, that show is immensely underrated. They had a
GOAT tier of shows.
It is really good, aside from the fact that it's Nick Cannon.
But he's a great host. Sure, say what you want about person Nick Cannon that he is. That dude can host a show, and that show is just that belongs in the Library of Congress. It's that elite. There are moments on that show that transcend time. That's difficult to do in television as a whole.
There's the local outdoor theater, the Northwell Health Center at Jones Beach over here on the island, and I wanted to go last year and I didn't. They had Wild and Out live, which probably would have been lit. Also, a lot of those people are actually really funny, like comedians, in their own life.
Oh yeah.
So for the most part, honestly, they are actually very talented. I have a very funny story about Nick Cannon that I'm going to save for another show because it is way too long and it is about topics that probably shouldn't be discussed on this show. So with that being said, I'm going to jump right into the show intro here, and we're going to chat some golf. Welcome into the Get in the Hole podcast, sponsored to you every day by our friends, our presenting sponsors, Wasted Wedge. Have you ever wanted to go on the course and drink in a new, fun way? Well, guess what, guys? Wasted Wedge has it for you. Literally, the shot ski turned golf wedge. I've always thought of this, and I thought it'd be a hilarious concept. Take your shot, and then try and putt with it. And if you miss, you have to take another shot. I think it'd be hilarious. Wasted Wedge, the absolute goats of golf, by far, taking the love of golf and the love of drinking all to a brand new level. Get your Wasted Wedge at wastedwedge.com. Products galore between the wedges, the extensions, the little small cups you can put in your
great
Wasted
merch
Wedge,
too,
and it all fits in your golf bag.
Great
it's
merch
perfect
too. Hats, visors, shirts, and
give me it all.
Make sure you follow them on Instagram and Facebook at Wasted Wedge.
I'm currently actually on the website, and I am most definitely going to buy a t-shirt, and I'm probably going to go wear it to the par 3 course later on this week. But just absolutely incredible guys. So happy to have them on. Obviously, just added them to the little logo up top. Shout out to them. So pretty cool little add-on to the show here. But we lead things off this week. We're actually going to kind of change the narrative of the show a little bit. We're actually going to talk LIV first. We haven't really put them in the spotlight as of late. Obviously, they've been playing little brother to the PGA Tour. However, might be getting into a little bit of a new kind of game, KB. Possible LPGA affiliation from LIVGolf. Now, I found this really interesting because the story around LIV, if you don't really know with the LPGA, is that obviously LIV is owned and backed by the Saudi Public Investment Fund. The LPGA Tour, similar to the European Tour, the DP World Tour, they do play events in Dubai. They also do have obviously international play. The PGA Tour, the reason why the PGA is so anti-LIV is not only because of the fact that it's all obviously against the Saudi Investment Fund, but they don't play really international events outside of Mexico. They play at Bermuda, they play in the Bahamas. Like outside of that, and then when they used to play at Mayakoba, and now this week in Mexico, outside of those events, they aren't really playing in South America. They're not playing in Australia, not playing in Singapore. The LPGA Tour is playing across the world all the time. If you pull up the schedule, they're playing events in Singapore, in Australia, in Dubai as well. So they're all over. One of the major brands who ever since 2020, ever since COVID, started sponsoring the LPGA Tour is Aramco. And they're, of course, also backed by a Saudi company. So there's already ties there. There also isn't nearly as much animosity between the LPGA Tour and LIV, largely because, A, there is no affiliated tour, of course, but also just because of the fact that they are two companies kind of looking to spread the same kind of message. Obviously, LIV trying to spread the game of men's golf is kind of an ass backwards concept because of the fact that golf already kind of has a footing in America, and you're not really growing the game any more than you already were trying to. All you're really doing is creating a rival. The LPGA Tour, much like all women's sports, don't really lack a major following. And from what I've talked to multiple people in the industry, not that the ladies golfers have less of a personality, but they don't necessarily have the outwardness as you do see like guys like Rory and Tiger on the PGA Tour, because you're always seeing them on camera. You're always seeing them in the interview room, on social. The LPGA Tour doesn't really have that. And obviously the following is much smaller, similar to the WNBA versus the NBA, similar to women's college softball as opposed to college men's softball, or even women's basketball to men's basketball on the NCAA side. Obviously this year there was a bit of a difference with obviously the women's tournament getting so much bigger viewership. But in general, women's sports don't get followed nearly as much. Therefore, technically, an LPGA LIV branch would actually be significant for this tour, being that they could actually grow the game of golf, make it even more international than it already is, bring on possibly a whole new cast of people. I think the one thing that LIV did right was getting a lot of young golfers already into the game. So obviously, had a lot of former U.S. amateurs, former Korn Ferry Tour number ones, like guys who wanted to get on the tour but never actually had the chance to, nor would they even really get a chance to win. By the way, considering as I beat the dead horse for the umpteenth time, it is very hard to get a win on the PGA Tour. I saw a graphic of the top 20 players in the world. Tyrrell Hatton is 20th in the nation, 20th in the world. He hasn't won a golf event in almost 3 years. Colin Morikawa hasn't won since he won the Open. Again, this is over 2 years ago. So these are elite level players who cannot get wins. How do you think the number one player on the Korn Ferry Tour is going to ever even do that? They might get top 20 every week, but they're most certainly not going to get that sort of exposure. So LIV did that good in a way. Now, granted, do they have the television coverage? Not really. At least with the LPGA, though, they can actually get some sort of forward momentum here. And Lydia Ko, current world number 1 on the LPGA Tour, said, honestly, I haven't heard much about it, but it seems like a really good idea. It's going to grow the game further. Michelle West was also kind of involved. She was like, hey, this is actually pretty good for the sport. Despite the animosity on the men's side, like we already work with Saudi-backed companies anyways. It's the same kind of sentiment that everyone on the European Tour has, where they're like, well, we already play in Dubai, so what's going to really matter if we go to LIV? Like, what does it matter? There's a reason why these companies aren't banning these players outright. The DP World Tour said they were going to ban LIV players if they jump ship. They wound up not doing it. I think more of the same is going to happen on the LPGA side, but it's only going to further on the relationship. Sorry, I ranted. What are your thoughts?
No, I mean it's a great point by both of those two female golfers that you brought up, saying that we brought it up when LIV was when it first actually became a thing. Like obviously the rumors were there and everything, but when it finally came to fruition, February of last year, at LIV for existing, you wouldn't be mad at the players for going there. Be mad at your government for doing the same shit that LIVGolf is. You know what I mean? Like, you can't be mad at the players for going and chasing a life and generational altering bag and doing what they love simply because it doesn't line up with, something that has been going on in our country for God knows how long. It's one of those things. I agree. It's going to grow the game. More eyes are going to get on the women's game, because it's going to be, this animosity-driven type of thing because of who is backing LIV. You saw how much the Masters has done. I've seen more people talking about, in particular, the 4 aces from LIV since the Masters than I have since LIV became a thing and the draft happened. You know what I mean? Like, the next LIV, at least on the men's side, you're seeing these players play in these big tournaments and everything. Then it's like, oh, this guy's a LIV guy. This guy's a LIV guy. You get the picture of Rahm and Brooks together and everything. It's only making people talk about the game, and this is something we have, we've hammered home, Steve. We've hammered it home. I can't wait for you to look up at your screen and see the actual hammer in my hand. We hammer it home all the time.
Mother of God.
People are talking about golf.
Yeah.
That's what it boils down to. People are talking about the sport every single day on a number of different channels, podcasts, you name it. Golf is in the mainstream now. And that's everything and then some that golf fans, actual players on tour, and everyone in between, from marketing companies, sponsorships, the courses, you name it. That's all they've wanted. Is golf to be talked about, golf this and he can't be.
Sorry, I just totally lost you on your Wi-Fi.
Oh, I just said you can't be mad at it because it's simply what everybody involved with the sport has wanted for decades.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, and I'm saying this again for the 20th time. Ever since LIV started, we've got A block coverage on ESPN, on Fox Sports, on NBC. Now, ever since COVID happened, the PGA Tour started to get more accessible on ESPN, not just NBC. You can now get more options. You now watch the event for longer. It used to be a 3 to 5 block. You could watch the back 9 of the leading group on Sunday. You can now probably watch the full 18. Like, that's the beauty of what we've gotten out of LIV, and I think that an LPGA affiliate would have no qualms. It would honestly be great. Again, there's no animosity there. I think it would be, if anything, a good thing. Probably what would then happen, I don't know if it would be a breakaway tour, but maybe LIV is like a subcontractor and makes their own like specialty series, kind of like how you saw PGA Tour with like the World Golf Championship. They would have obviously a limited 72-man field. Maybe they do that. I don't know how it would necessarily work. Greg Norman's going to have to figure that out for himself. but at the very least, they are doing something right, and hopefully they can actually get this off the ground. You open the game up more to more female golfers. I don't really know much about the female amateur ranks or the lower professional ranks in women's golf. I really only know you're a top college player and then you go pro. And you, for the most part, you wind up on the PGA Tour. Like McAvoy is currently going to be, she's 17 years old. She's beating most LPGA pros. She's going to graduate college and she's going to immediately be on the LPGA Tour. I don't know what comes before that. I haven't really done much research. At the very least, LIV is now another outlet for possible golfers to get more into things. Speaking of LIV, and continuing on the topic here, while last week the Zurich Classic was very good on the PGA Tour side, of course, team style event was a pretty good time. Didn't see Xander Schauffele and Patrick Cantlay win, which is kind of a surprise to a lot of us. We're going to talk with them in about 10 minutes. But LIVGolf on the other side of the country, which, by the way, whether or not you want to call it a country or a continent, out in Adelaide, Australia, LIVGolf put on probably the most mediocre television performance I've ever seen, which actually gave way to really good golf, if that makes any sense at all. I'm not sure if you saw the tweets, saw the videos. LIV tried to create a party hole, very similar to like what you see at the stadium course at the Waste Management, like hole 16. And they essentially created this environment of just loud music, boozing heavy, and having a good ass time. I have no idea who it was. Made an ace on the hole, and they estimated about 3 inches of booze were saturated into the ground after they had cleaned everything up. An absolute.
It was Brooks Koepka's brother.
Oh, it was Chase Koepka? Even better. Makes total sense to me. Absolutely amazing scene at LIV. Was actually very surprised by the actual competitiveness of the event itself. It was quite entertaining. I watched the final round on Sunday. Was quite impressed. Enjoyed the product. Probably for the first time since the very first event out in London, I was like, all right, this is actually pretty damn good. The announcing and the commentary of it has actually kind of gotten a little bit worse. And I think it's more just because not a lot of the people who are in the space really know a lot about golf outside of maybe a couple of folks. So I think it's fascinating to see like how like the golf world is kind of like shaking out. But overall, the event was pretty damn good. Taylor Gooch won it at 19 under par. Anirban Lahiri 16 under. Patrick Reed and Cameron Smith, as well as a few others, Cameron Dragale and Pat Perez at 15 under. Once again, of course, the 4 aces won, because what else does the 4 aces do except for win? They're the most stacked team on the LIV Tour. But just thought it was really fascinating to see them pull off something that everyone was like, oh, this is going to be a total flop.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the things that like I just heard about, like even being kind of more so off my phone this weekend, and not really tapped into like golf stuff. It still made its way to my timeline. Like,
yeah,
Chase Koepka being on my timeline, that usually doesn't happen. And like I mentioned earlier, like LIV is being more talked about, I think, in just a like people trying to find it now that they know it's a thing, and like it's kind of like almost here to stay until the money runs out, which probably will never happen one way or another.
Exactly.
Since where it was, we said it months ago, where it could be the most like altering event in golf history because of the Masters allowing these guys to play, and then you're going to get public spotlight on the LIV Tour more so than ever before, and now people just want to see what the hell is this LIV Tour all about, because the news headlines now outside, initially when LIV came to be, it was all about who was backing it, who was funding LIV, this, that, and the third. Now it's just like, oh, it's these players. I'm gonna follow along and see what happens. That's more so the headlines now. So I think it's more of a news is just such a fast cycle, no matter what topic it is. People, I think, tend to now just push it to the side, and now it's like, oh, let me go follow my favorite golfer that I used to watch on the PGA Tour.
Yo, I have a crazy idea, and I think it would be a fascinating thing to do. First of all, I've just gotten wind that we are eligible to. Well, at least I am, because I fit the handicapping and everything. I am eligible to sign up and possibly get picked for the LIVGolf Pro-Am at Bedminster. Kind of want to do it. I think I might actually fill that out right now, and hopefully I can do it. It'll be 3 amateurs to every 1 pro on the front 9 and a different pro on the back 9. Pro-Am includes breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a premium gifting experience, as well as tickets to the entire event. So you know what? Honestly, this might be a play for us if you're down to join me over at Bedminster.
Stephen McAvoy.
Stop.
New Twitter display name.
Oh God, I don't support LIVGolf, but if it means that I can play on the Pro-Am side, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say no.
Well,
winner of this,
you didn't just say that, so you.
Just you know what? We can blurt it out in post and just have the running like beep. So Taylor Gooch this past week takes home the win at Adelaide. I want to bring up this question because I think it's really compelling now. Taylor Gooch is currently on a streak of 16 rounds consecutively on LIV of par or better golf. Now, we played at the Masters, went 1 over every single day. Sorry, well, actually 3 over, par, 1 over, 1 over. He finished the week at 4 over, still finished in the top 30. Taylor Gooch is kind of turning around a pretty good page for himself and is finally back in that area, despite necessarily not the greatest competition. And when I talked to Max Schreiber a few weeks ago about LIV going into the Masters, he was like, honestly, these courses are not very difficult. So don't read into it at all. Then again, Patrick Reed and Bruce Koepka went out and were vying for the outright at the Masters. Whether or not it's because they know the course well is a different thing to be said. But is there any way Taylor Gooch might actually be pushing himself for contention at the PGA Championship? He's currently listed. He's way back in the odds board. He's like 190 to 1. But where do you see Taylor Gooch possibly fitting into a possible final pairing, maybe at the PGA, depending on how he's able to perform? I believe he plays next in Singapore the week of the 28th. So actually, this upcoming weekend we'll play out in Singapore. Then I believe he has one more event until the PGA, which is again only 4 weeks from now. What do you think?
Well, I have to pose this question to you as well while I give you my response. Is the hashtag Gooch Gang back?
No.
But the possibility, I think, is likely. I'll say this. I think Taylor Gooch will be on the he'll be having his follow. I'll give him that much. I think he'll be getting followed on the final day by a camera to kind of keep track of what he's doing. Will he be in the mix? Who knows? But I think he'll be somewhere in the discussion, making a push. Will he win? I doubt it, but
yeah, I will say no, he won't win. But however, I'm not going to take the possibility of him contending out of the question. The Gooch Gang is not back. I will not defend anybody on LIV, with maybe the exception of Bruce Koepka, because his redemption arc following full swing just makes total sense to me. Yeah, I mean, they're playing May 15th to the 21st for the PGA. He's going to have events. He's going to have 2 events leading up. He's going to play May 12th to the 14th out in Tulsa, then make his way up to Rochester for the PGA. If he puts up 2 more events in Singapore and Tulsa of under par golf, these are also some relatively challenging courses for the first time of the LIV season. Cedar Ridge has played host to a handful of PGA events. Singapore and Sentosa has played host to an LPGA event. So I do think that there will be a challenge in front of him if he's able to play well. I think there's a pretty decent shot. We do see some sort of contention out of Taylor Gooch. Might even make the beer money picks. Who knows? Depending on how things go. Changing tides, literally across the Atlantic Ocean from Australia to New Orleans, the Big Easy. The Zurich Classic was past week, team style event on the PGA Tour. A lot of surprises. Nick Hardy and Davis Riley picking up the win. Fun fact, both first-time PGA Tour winners. Do we call it a Mickey Mouse win because they were a team? I don't really know. Guess you could say it, but they bring home a pretty decent penny. A lot of surprises though, and there were really three that stood out to me. One, that Max Homa and Colin Morikawa couldn't make the cut, considering how well they've been playing over this past year. Surprised to see in a team style event they actually flustered. Two, if you noticed the scorecard, I thought this was a crazy thing. The Xander Schauffele tracker on Twitter tweeted it out, and I did a little more digging. Xander Schauffele shot 8 under par better than Patrick Cantlay on the week. Basically, the slander from the Twitter account was that Xander carried almost the entire week, and basically is true. Patrick Cantlay was also responsible for every single bogey they made this week. Lost by 4 strokes, and guess how many bogeys they had?
A lot more.
They had 5. So par golf from Patrick Cantlay could have netted them another win. I said last year I bet them to win. It was like a no-brainer. This year seemed like a no-brainer again. They had incredibly low odds, weren't able to pull it out. But very surprised by that. And the last thing, we spent almost all of last show talking about walkout songs, only for the Zurich Classic to pull the live walkout songs. They instead chose to go with a DJ who just played whatever he wanted. Apparently, Eric Van Rooyen, who's from South Africa, wanted to play "Africa" by Toto for his song. Like, I know, right? Like, absolutely. Come on, man. What are you doing? And instead, he got like the Chainsmokers.
Now, this is why I think we consider
Travesty.
This a Mickey Mouse win. The walk-up songs weren't true to form. It's Mickey Mouse.
I mean, not even that. Like, it was. I'm not going to call it a Mickey Mouse thing because, I mean, look, they each won like $1.5 million, so they won an event. Good for them.
Yeah, but it's almost like how the Lakers, the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Dodgers, they all won championships, but they're all Mickey Mouse championships.
All right. The NBA and the NHL ones I'm not going to count as Mickey Mouse because there was a long road to get there. Between the round robins and the play-in series.
The NBA one is most certainly a Mickey Mouse one. It was played in Magic Kingdom.
All right, fine, yes. Also, why roll the sports, sir, by the All-Star Resorts? Slow your roll.
It might as well have been in Magic Kingdom. I still
play on the outdoor courts in front of the castle.
Exactly. It was like one of the 4 places that the players could go anyway.
That must have been honestly like looking back on it, probably one of the coolest things though.
Oh no, I talked to our good friend Mike Scott. He said it was absolute hell.
Really?
Yeah. The bubble was hell.
It was probably incredibly rigid. I get that, but all your amenities were like right there. It was basically you were playing basketball in your own 2K My Park almost.
They said it got boring real quick.
I can imagine. I mean, there really isn't much to do. You can't really roam around at all. That I totally get. But regardless of the fact, I still think it's kind of cool to have like everything you need in one little area. And yeah, you had your drama, little Magic City on a Monday, little Louisville.
We had that. We had the ongoing, never-ending rumor that Daniel House was just a fall guy for James Harden. Do you know that story?
Yes. I
mean the fact that he was the fall guy. Like Daniel House wasn't actually the person who invited a woman into the bubble. It was James Harden, and Daniel House is and that is why the Sixers signed Daniel House to the contract they did this year because James Harden owed him.
I fucking love that. That's the best part of the whole thing, honestly. Now, there was a lot of really great things about the bubble, but we're getting off on a diverted tangent here. Back to the walk-up songs. Hold on, I gotta pull the article up that I saw about it because it was actually really interesting the way they the way they posed it. USA Today's it was Adam Schupak, perfect. Said that Eric Van Rooyen wanted to go up to Africa. He said, quote, "I think it sucks. I think it's such a fun idea. It makes the tournament a little different." He goes, "Just tap your foot. Makes me think of home." And then he goes, Max Homa said he turned the whole thing into a joke. And basically, like, the whole reasoning was the reason why they got rid of it was because of the whole LIV golf but louder. He goes, "This is not a LIV versus PGA Tour thing, so please don't make it about that." I heard Monahan talking about it in our last PAC meeting. We went over the golf ball going too far. We went over accessibility to the designated event, and we went over music being too aligned with the LIV Tour. Give me a goddamn break. It's absolutely embarrassing. Part of me like actually gets very upset about how like Jay Monahan is taking this way too far to heart, and I think it's really just a bad look overall. Is there anything you want to add before we take our break?
I say let's go to break.
Let's do it. On the other side here, we got a lot of good stuff to chat about. The Mexico Open this week comes in with an odds board that you have to literally see it to believe it. Don't go anywhere. Right here on the Get the Whole podcast. KP and Steve McAvoy coming right back. I saw a really crazy tweet that somebody posed about Jimmy Butler getting traded to the New York Knicks. The hypothetical trade was RJ Barrett, Obi Toppin, a 24, 26, and 28 first-round picks. I thought it was an absolute ludicrous statement, and I think it's kind of hilarious. What are we doing here?
I refreshed my page during the break, but it didn't come back quick enough.
Oh, Zoinks, we have like a screen aneurysm for a hot second. What do you think? Jimmy Butler to the next year for Barrett, Toppin, and 3 first-round picks in 24, 26, and 28.
I don't see that happening.
Do you see the Sixers going deep in the playoffs?
I do.
Do you see a Sixers-Knicks conference final?
Would be fun.
Would actually be fucking amazing. I think at that point, honestly, the cities of Philadelphia and New York might burn down.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see the Atlanta Hawks win at least one more game. That'd be great. To just push that series a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think that the Sixers, like, everyone's so high on the Celtics, and I think all the pressure is on the Sixers to finally get out of the fucking second round of the playoffs, I think they finally have, like, the athletes behind Embiid to finally do it, where in years past, like, they just didn't have the skill and the players to do it. And I think Al Horford is a shell of what he used to be now.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, like, Boston's, like, key to success in shutting down Joel Embiid was Al Horford. And now he's kind of lost a step, lost a little bit of his magic. And I think the Sixers have what it takes to finally get over that hill. And I mean, who wouldn't love Sixers Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals?
That'd be amazing.
That's just like bonkos.
That would be, well, honestly, just even consider this. I mean, I don't know what the scores are right now as we're recording this. Let me actually pull that up because I'm curious. So as we're talking, the Heat are currently up 3-1 on the Bucks. A Heat-Knicks second round series, especially with the odds and possibility that Butler can go to New York. If the Knicks can shock the Heat, which wouldn't be a quote unquote shock, but at this point, if the Heat could take out the Bucks, I mean, it's pretty valid that they are a legit team in this race. If you see the Heat take out the Bucks, right, and then you have the possibility now that Butler loses to the Knicks, comes to the Knicks next year, basically the Knicks beat him out. Then, of course, you have on the opposite side, this probably what most likely will be Celtics and Sixers. Like you're getting the trifecta of Northeastern sports all kind of like in one area, and the Heat are like New York South. So think about it. Just the retirement home city. Literally 4 core teams of the East coming together for your Final Four in the conference. That would be the best playoff series, week that you honestly may have. And then of course Sixers Knicks in the Eastern Conference Final will be incredible. I've never seen Manhattan more lively, especially now that the Rangers are also obviously in it, and the Knicks are going off tomorrow. Tomorrow night, I'm going to see Billy Joel at the Garden. They're currently removing the ice off MSG to get ready. I know Billy Joel's going to go fucking crazy because he's like a huge Rangers fan and a big Knicks fan. So it's like, oh, hey, what's going on? Move the concert from Saturday to Tuesday. And he was like, oh, totally. Go right ahead. Let them play. I will wait until they're all done. So super excited for that. New York is super lively. And then to watch the Sixers lose to the Knicks in the conference final, the city would just totally burn
I do
down.
think you were mentioning, switching over the ice and everything. There's nothing better than the time-lapse videos.
Yeah.
Of switching from the hardwood to the ice or the ice to the hardwood and everything. Did you see the one in LA?
No.
So this past weekend, the Lakers and the Clippers both had home playoff games.
Why?
At the arena formerly known as the Staples Center. They had 3 hours to switch over from Clippers to Lakers hardwood and everything.
That's
the time-lapse video is a work of art. Hang it in the Louvre.
I think that my favorite thing though, and honestly, like they do it with the Sixers.
Mm-hmm.
Have they ever had I feel like it's almost impossible to have a 3-game slate at the Wells Fargo Center in one day.
I don't think it was 3, but there was a moment, I think it was this year or like this past summer, where it was within a week span, there was, I think, 8 to 10 different turnovers. It might have been less than a week because the Sixers played twice, the Flyers played 2 or 3 times, the Wings had a game, Villanova had a game, and there was a concert at the Wells Fargo Center.
Well, I think it's amazing because if you look at it was actually supposed to happen this on Saturday. The Knicks played Friday night. Originally scheduled was going to be, if they didn't move Billy Joel from Saturday to Tuesday, it was going to be the Knicks play Friday night. Saturday afternoon would be the Rangers game, and then 7:00 for a Billy Joel show. So you would literally go from 7:00 to a 1 p.m. And then after the 1 p.m. game ending at like 3:34, you would then have 3 hours to build a concert venue. I think those things are like absolutely nuts. I mean, obviously, like even just hockey to basketball too, the ability to, and it's harder when you do hockey second because the hardwood is easy. It just kind of snaps in. But to actually freeze the ice over, clip everything together, paint the whole thing, those videos are the absolute best. Anyways, another one of our classic tangents here. KB, it's finally a true week off on the PGA Tour. How you feeling?
Feel like it's a good like refresh week. It's a good like almost bye week for golf fans. I know it was a little bit longer for our friends on our F1 podcast that everybody should go listen to. They just got done what they call the F1 spring break. That it was 3.5 weeks, I think, without a race. So we're not going that long with golf, but I think it is kind of a nice little decompress week after the Masters, after an elevated event, and then after our Mickey Mouse Zurich Classic to kind of just regroup, refresh, and get back on track for what is going to be a fun summer.
Well, I have news for you. It is not an off week for one person. You notice the ... at the very end there for those watching on the YouTubes?
Which you should be, youtube.com/@undergroundsportsphiladelphia.
It is a true week off of the PGA Tour for everyone except for Jon Rahm.
Because he loves the kids.
He loves the kids and he loves the Mexico Open. Jon Rahm opens up the Mexico Open after winning last year, plus 280 on the fucking line.
I have
it's
it
the
down.
lowest odds in. It's the
gone
lowest
down to
odds
plus
in PGA Tour
275.
history. 275. I love it. It's the lowest odds on the PGA Tour in 15 years. And the last 3 times that a player has been under plus 500 to win an event outside of this past week for Cantlay and Schauffele at the Zurich, have all been by John Rahm, and in the last year and a half, he was plus 480, I think, last year at the Mexico. He won by 1 stroke, and now he's plus 280. The next guy on the board is Tony Finau, plus 850. Ridiculous numbers.
And then it jumps even lower than that. Next guy is plus 1,900 at the longest odds available for that player.
I fucking love it. And like this is the most. This is a Mickey Mouse win. I'm sorry if John Rahm doesn't win this week. Like, look, I think the thing that everyone has to kind of realize here, and Jason Sobel said it great, and I'm going to literally read it from his article that he posted here on the Action Network. He said, entering this week's 2023 Mexico Open at Vedanta, which is the course they're playing, there exists a clear and present scenario for bettors. To John Rahm or not to John Rahm. First, the facts. Yet last year at the inaugural edition of this tournament as a PGA Tour event, Rahm hadn't won in almost a full year. He opened a 450 favorite and triumphed by 1 stroke. This year, he's already won 4 titles, including the Masters, and opens at plus 280 in a field that features just 8 other top 100 players in the official world golf rankings. He didn't win for a year, and he barely won in the inaugural event. He now has 5 wins, European and PGA, this year. Oh my God.
I have a fun proposition for you.
If it's about him winning or losing, I've already made the bet that he's going to win. I've already booked it. Whether or not he does it, I don't really care. It's just like, at that point, it's free money if it's anybody but him.
I say next week's show, if John Rahm wins, you have to eat an entire avocado pre-show because it is the Mexico Open.
Avocados from Mexico.
And if he loses, throughout the entirety of next week's show, you have to eat spoonfuls of guacamole.
That hurts. Can I at least have chips with it?
I can allow chips to be a dipping apparatus.
Dipping
as an engine to fuel you.
All right. This is a lose-lose for me, though. You either eat a whole ass avocado if he wins, and if he doesn't, you eat guac.
Right.
I mean,
the avocado is just pre-show, like during the banter opening.
I gotta just eat an avocado?
Yeah. That is the banter opening.
It's an avocado.
Thanks.
Thanks.
That's how you have to open. It's an avocado. Thanks, John Rahm.
And then just absolutely down it.
Down it.
Oh God.
Be electric.
The avocados from Mexico, folks. If you're watching, please sponsor us for the next episode. That'll be hilarious. I'm going to politely say no. Because
pending if avocados from Mexico sponsor the idea.
Fine, if they do, I'll do it. Otherwise, I will not.
Are you just not an avocado guy?
I like guac, like with my Chipotle, but like I'm not gonna like eat just like straight up avocado or like avocado toast. I don't like, or like I just eat it with chip. You know what? I'll tell you what. If he wins, if John Rahm wins, I will buy a random person who likes the show tweet a Chipotle bowl. Whatever they want.
Chipotle, if you want to sponsor this,
make it free for me, please. If John Rahm wins, I will buy some random person a Chipotle bowl, and
we'll put that out on Twitter as a like thing.
Yeah.
That'll be like a retweet and follow, so we can kind of keep track.
Yeah, let's do it. I will buy somebody. I don't care what it costs. I will buy you a Chipotle bowl. Don't be one of those guys though who orders the salad bowls. Buy a damn bowl or even a burrito.
Here's the caveat. Here's the caveat. Does it have to have guac involved in the bowl?
They can have whatever you want. I don't give a shit.
I think it would be funny if it was the order has to include guac.
Sure, fine. It must include guac. No double meats. I ain't doing double protein. You can have half and half if you want. and I will just buy you a bowl or a burrito. Or you know what? If you're a quesadilla guy, go ahead. Quesadilla. Fine. Whatever you want. But I will buy someone a Chipotle bowl. With that being said, can anybody beat John Rahm? Honestly, can anybody in this field possibly do it?
I mean, anything, as we mentioned earlier with Kevin Garnett, anything is possible. I think if there is anyone, it's probably Tony Finau.
I mean, that's kind of the question is like, where do you go? And honestly, you know what? I think no time at this point is better than the present. Let's chat beer money because this is really just kind of the segue into all of this. No props this week. I don't really care much about this event. I want to solely focus in on can anybody beat John Rahm. I will give you 20 minutes of coverage doing this. Beer money brought to you by our friends over at Kenwood Beer. Check out the Kenny Tracker. Get your hands on some ice cold Kennys all across the Philadelphia area and even into Jersey now. They're getting all the way
pretty soon,
there, right?
Fingers crossed. Hopefully very soon. But you can also, if you're not getting it on tap and you want to just keep it at the house, you can get it at your local Philadelphia area liquor store, or if you're in Eastern Pennsylvania, obviously Philadelphia area type stuff, you can get it at your local Whole Foods. It's 4.1% ABV, 127 calories, 10 grams of carbs, light body, light calories, plenty of flavor, the best light beer on the planet. Must be 21 or older to do so, and of course, please drink responsibly. And who's to say you can't do beer shots? Kenwood, Wasted Wedge, it's a match made in heaven.
I will happily do beer shots. Let's do a power hour. Let's do it.
Again, the whole power hour presented by Wasted Wedge and Kenwood Beer.
We just get wasted and just chat about whatever the hell we want. That would actually be amazing. So on the conquest to figure out can anybody beat John Rahm, we start out with those who can't beat John Rahm. Who's gonna make and miss the cut this week at the Mexico?
Make and miss the cut. I'm looking here just at the field. I'm going to simply based off name. This is a long shot dart throw of making the cut. I'm going with Lanto Griffin to make the cut.
You love that guy.
I just love the name Lanto. Like, I want to chat with his parents and ask where the name comes from. What's the country of origin? It's a great name.
Lanto Griffin is from... He's American. Oddly enough.
Sounds like my sister trying to decipher where JT Real Muto is from. And when I tell her he's from Oklahoma, she's like, there's no fucking way. She was like, that man has to be something. I was like, yeah, he's Oklahoman.
Well, no. All right, hold on, wait. But like his nationality is Italian, clearly. But
we've tried to dig deep. We can't find anything. That boy is purebred American. That's why he walked up to the Applebee's theme music.
Yeah, actually.
For a little stretch, yeah. He was walking up to that Applebee's.
JT Real Muto looks like the most Italian person on the planet, though.
But he is purebred Oklahoman, former quarterback, baseball catcher.
Born in Del City, Oklahoma. That's freaking hilarious. Played various sports. I feel like there's always some sort of like funny little like quip on like Wikipedia. Like, oh, he was born to so and so and so and so. But there isn't anything on here. That's crazy.
He's a national man of mystery.
And honestly, a very handsome one at that. Lanto Griffin. Lanto name of origin. Name Lanto. Historically, surnames evolving as a way of sort of. Oh nope, that's just a similar generic thing. Lanto is a name of largely British and Irish descents. Interesting. In Ghana, the name Lanto means light and illumination, or light or love.
That's kind of fire.
Lanto is actually it's one of the most common names in Madagascar.
That's ironic.
The weird ass things that you can find. By the way, my brother went to Universal on his high school senior trip. And he got a photo with King Julian. And I feel like it's funny because This freaking video,
It's
I
the
keep
most
getting
viewed
notifications.
piece of content in company history.
Dude,
I'm
absolutely.
telling you, when we figure out what the get in the whole like Hall of Fame is, King Julian's getting inducted. First ballot, unanimous.
He's more than on it. All right. So back to like the topic here. You're taking Lanto to make the cut.
Correct.
This week to make the cut, I am personally a big fan of. I'm going like deep down the odds board here. I like Garrick Higo from South Africa to make this week. As far as to miss the cut, I'm going to go with Cameron Champ. Seems like a pretty common pick. Has not been playing quite well this year. Interesting fact, toyed about the Mexico Open. It's a bomber's paradise, and Cam Champ hits it really far, but he hits it erratic, so I'm not all in on Cam Champ this week. Who do you have to miss the cut?
Missing the cut. I'm also going to throw in another make the cut, just simply for the brand. Got to go with Harry Higgs.
Of course.
Not sleeping on the boy. Got to go with Harry. He's plus 17,500 on the longest odds to win the whole thing. So I'm naturally going to say he's going to make the cut.
I like his odds.
I don't hate them either.
Who do you have to miss?
To miss, simply because I think there can only be one person with this name who's making headlines this coming week. I'm going to say Chris Stroud misses the cut simply because CJ Stroud is going to be making all the headlines during Thursday night on the NFL draft.
First quarterback off the board?
Bryce Young.
There you go. Top 20 pick this week at the Mexico.
Top 20. I'm going to rock out with... This is crazy. It's a little crazy. Give me Akshay.
Not crazy at all. He's actually one of the guys who I really do like to win this week.
Plus 13,000 for the longest odds for him to win.
Yeah, I like him a lot to win this week. However, I mean, I could take him top 20 here. I'll take him a little bit deeper. I'm actually a big fan of Cameron Percy here for a top 20. In terms of the strokes gained total stat, ironically, the top 5 in the field this week happen to be Rahm, Finau, Wyndham Clark, who's also a very good player who also could be in the hunt to win, and Cameron Percy. He owns a pair of top 20s in his last 4 starts. He plays really well at long tracks. He's a bullish Australian player. I think this kind of fits the mold here. He's plus 500 on the sports book of my personal choice. I like him a lot for a top 20. Top 10.
Give me Lee Hodges.
That sounds like a real baseball player name, or also a really good country artist.
Sounds like beginning, like turn of the century baseball player name. So like he's modern era, but like 1901 modern era.
What would the nickname be though?
It would be like Lee, like Iron Lung Hodges or something of that nature.
Nothing will ever be Tungsten Armo Doyle. My top 10 this week, I'm going to roll Akshay plus 900. I think Akshay's got a great chance to win. If you remember back in his one and only Korn Ferry Tour win, it didn't happen in Mexico, but it happened in the Bahamas. He also played really well at the Butterfield early on this year at Port Royal, also in the Bahamas. So I think maybe the narrative of going down south of the border might be something worth monitoring for Akshay Bhatia. I'll take him for a top 10, possibly also to win this week. Top 5.
Top 5. Let's keep it. Actually, no, I'm gonna go with Hotels by Wyndham Clark.
I love Wyndham Clark. I think he's a really underrated and really solid player. He's plus 190, plus 360 on the book that I see here. The guy who I really like for a top 5, he has a brother who everyone kind of thought had the higher ceiling among the two. However, the man who I'm picking this week has actually shown that he's been really good. Last week, he gained 7.6 strokes gained on the field, according to Data Golf. He's played a lot of PGA Tour fields over the last year and a half, owns a lot of talent, shows up every week, and in a relatively weak field, I think this is a very good spot for him. I like Nikolai Hjogard, I think he's Austrian descent. Nikolai Hjogard is going to be the guy who I want at currently sitting at plus.
I'm at plus 3,000.
1,000?
Plus
to win.
3,000 to win.
Yeah, to win is there. I have him plus 550 though for a top 5. I think that'll be where I sit. For those winners, who's your gimme?
I mean, it's obviously John Rahm. To win the whole thing.
Wow, that's the biggest like slam your dick on the table. Like here I am, John Rahm to win is the gimme.
But to stray away from that, I'm going to say my gimme. I'm gonna do it in lieu of Jake still being in the courtroom. I'm gonna say his boy Andrew Novak top 20.
So I like 2 guys for top 20s. Actually 3 guys for top 20s this week. You could parlay them together. You could not. I like Wyndham Clark and Matt McNeely. I'll also throw in Bo Hostler, who had a really good week this past week. I think all 3 are talented players. Bo is obviously the youngest of the bunch. Has shown a lot of potential ever since he came out of college. Wyndham Clark is significantly underrated in terms of the overall top golfers in that like back quarter of the official World Golf rankings. And honestly, Matt McNeely has been a top 20 machine for years. If you look at my current board for top 20s, I have Clark at minus 115. I have McNeely at plus 150 and Hostler plus 175. Should give you a pretty good payout if you want to parlay all 3. If not, totally fine. You'll probably win some good chunk of change on that one. Winner, chicken dinner down in Mexico. Who's eating the avocados?
I do have a Tony Reali fact check here. Nikolai Hjogard, he is from Denmark.
Damn it. It was a red flag. Literally.
Obviously, gotta say John Rahm, but sprinkle a little some on Tony Finau to cover your chicken butts.
Nikolai Hjogard is 22 years old and he's Danish. I love that. I'm older than him. That's I think it's amazing to like know that I am older than some like professional athletes.
Welcome
like the
to
fact that
club.
like I'm the same age as Austin Matthews freaks me out.
Yeah.
He's a freak.
I have quite a few athletes that I am in that area with, including only being a year older than Joel Embiid.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Because that guy looks like he's like 50.
Joel's 29. I'm 29 now, but I'll be 30 later this year.
Also, actually, I want to add on another interesting play here that I want to take for my gimme. I'm going to rally back to this. Brandon Matthews for a top 40 this week. I'm not sure if you've seen the videos on Brandon Matthews, but he basically has the most fluid swing I've ever seen in my entire life, and he averages at like 320. He basically is Bryson DeChambeau's power, just in a much more clean form, and the ball actually goes straight. He was playing most of the week at the Zurich with a long iron because he was like, don't want to hit the ball too far. I was like, bro, what kind of a big dick move is that? If you're going to be like, oh, I'll just play 2 iron for the whole entire round and just not even bother with my driver. Absolutely amazing. So I like him a lot for top 40. So back to the topic of conversation that we had to begin this. Who can beat John Rahm? I have 5 names. The last of which is who I will take to win this week. And plot twist, I'm not taking John Rahm to win. The card is out. I do have Rahm winning already as a pick. However, I want to actually give you guys value in who I'm going to take here. Wyndham Clark, 18-1. I think he's a very solid pick here. Wildly underrated for a golfer in this field. Fits the mold of what I'm looking for this week at a Bomber's Paradise. I really like Bo Hostler, again, 40-1. Someone who doesn't necessarily hit it the furthest, however, can get a lot of power in his swing, can get a lot done, and makes his birdies in bunches. I mean, Tony Finau is an obvious pick here. He hits the ball a country mile. He's been putting it really well. He holds the most aptitude next to Jon Rahm in terms of anybody in this field. So I'll most certainly be taking Tony Finau. The last guy that I'm really interested in, I said 5 names. I'm only going to give you 4. The guy who I think will, in fact, win this event, former major champion, one of the only guys in this field who stand out as being a really good golfer, who has not done a lot over the last 5 years. He hasn't been able to figure it out on the greens. He's lost over 4 strokes. He lost 4.4 strokes on the greens at the RBC Heritage, and yet he was able to basically erase it net zero, gaining 4 strokes on ball striking. And I don't know what it is, but there's something about his game that I think can really get a reboot here in Mexico. I like Gary Woodland. I have him at 25-1 to win this week at the Mexico. At the Players, he gained 8.2 strokes tee to green. He's been getting really, really hot in terms of his tee to green play. Again, it's the putter that lets him down. The beauty of Mexico, though, unlike a lot of the events in the fall swing that you saw, it is not a putting contest here. It is absolutely a approach game play. His proximity to the hole, and Gary Woodland is second best in the field in all stats that isn't putting, next to Jon Rahm. So I think Gary Woodland is my pick here. I have him 25-1. You can get him as good as 32-1. That's my guy who I have
28-1.
So there you go. I think Gary Woodland is a great play here. If anybody's going to take him down, it's those 4 guys, in my opinion. Matt McNeely might also be in the mix. I think Akshay, again, has something to look at. I just think he's too young, though, to be contending against the Jon Rahm over a 72-hole stretch. So there you go. There you have it. Our picks here for the Mexico Open. And again, if Jon Rahm wins, I will buy anybody Itch Bully Bowl. Final thoughts here, KB.
Final thoughts. I have 2. Number 1, Thursday night. Steve, hopefully you'll be around to run it back turbo. NFL draft, first round draft stream coming at you live on the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Eagles have 2 picks. Giants won't be redrafting Kayvon Thibodeau.
I won't cry in my seat.
And who knows what's going to happen, as American Ninja Warrior commentator Akbar Gabaja Bargiamia stated that Derrick Henry is on his way to the Eagles. Who knows? It's going to be a wild time on Thursday night. Going to be a ton of Underground Sports Philadelphia personalities on the stream. Hopefully you'll join us. Number 2, speaking of the NFL draft, we finally got Aaron Rodgers traded to the New York Jets. Broadway Aaron is on his way. But I do have to laugh, and I'm sure you'll laugh at this as well, Steve. The Jets effectively traded a second-rounder and a first-rounder for 39-year-old Aaron Rodgers. The Eagles traded Carson Wentz to the Indianapolis Colts for a first-rounder and a third-rounder the second-rounder became a first-rounder because of playtime. It just makes me laugh that Howie Roseman is easily the best GM in the NFL, because the fact that he was able to get that for Carson Wentz, and it is effectively what the Jets had to give up to get 39-year-old Aaron Rodgers, is hilarious.
I really do think that Joe Douglas kind of sold here on this one too. I think it's
lost all his leverage as soon as Aaron went and spoke on the Pat McAfee show.
Yeah, I think it's you know what? Look, good for the Jets. I have a lot of qualms. I'm not a Jets fan, but I have a lot of qualms that this very well could be Brett Favre 2.0.
Oh, 100%. Just wait until he's money laundering with Mississippi State.
Just wait till it happens.
Homeless.
Yeah, I don't know what they'll do. But
instead of a volleyball court, it's going to be for his ayahuasca.
I have everyone saying, "Oh, Jets to the Super Bowl." I don't think they'll even make the conference final.
They're not even the best team in their division.
No, they're not. I saw a really funny tweet, and it was like, "Oh, all this just to finish behind Matt Jones yet again." And I was like, "No," but the Dolphins and Bills most certainly have that.
They could finish behind the Patriots.
Unfortunately, and this is going to be my final thought to all of those of you who are younger than me watching this show on Thursday. I will not be in attendance. I'm getting all 4 of my wisdom teeth removed Thursday morning.
Oh, that would be even better.
No, because the last time I did a show drugged up, I was like
That
loopy.
was only for like 10 minutes.
It was fun though. My whole mouth was like numb as balls. I couldn't feel a thing. I was talking like this. Like I was ridiculous. No, you know what? If the mouth is okay, I will come on. But 9 a.m. Thursday, pray for me getting them out.
I will say, I've had my wisdom teeth removed. I've seen other people react poorly to it. I was totally fine. Like,
Yeah,
I woke
have
up from the anesthesia and I ordered Green Day concert tickets. I was like, Mom, give me my phone. Need to order the concert tickets.
No, look, you know what? Like the anesthesia is great. You sleep like a freaking baby. I'm gonna have no problem with that. I have the pain tolerance as like a 4-year-old. So I'm a little concerned on that end. But the reason for what I'm saying is, for those of you who are younger than me and may have to get your wisdom teeth out, I was told by my doctor, 25 is the age where after you turn older than 25, apparently the tolerance of your lower wisdom teeth and the nerve endings in your mouth just like dips super far down and it hurts 10 times more. So he was like, honestly, you're getting it done like at the absolute perfect time. So I was like, all right, totally.
I think that's
like,
when I got mine out a little bit before 25. So I think I got mine out when I was like 22, 23.
Yeah, so 25 is basically the cutoff. So if you're looking to get them out, get them out. It's worth it. The wisdom teeth freaking suck, dude. So hopefully all goes well. We should be good. The anesthesia is going to be the best night's sleep I've ever had in my entire life, and it's going to be 9 a.m. in the morning, which basically means I'm going to be out all day. So I'm very excited.
What's your prediction for the Giants pick?
Oh God, I haven't even looked at a draft board. I don't even know what they're picking, to be honest with you. I am so beside myself with this fucking Daniel Jones contract that I don't even give a shit about anything going on with the New York Giants.
I love it. I love the breakdown of Jalen Hurts' contract compared to Daniel Jones.
Shut the fuck up. I'm going to. Oh my God. All right, hold on. Let's see where they're picking, and I will give you my my prediction. They're picking at way down the board, 25. All right. I don't know. Who's even available then? I don't even know.
So the mock draft on every Sixers fan knows this website really well. No free ads, but tankathon.com. The Giants are on their mock draft to take TCU wide receiver Quentin Johnston.
All right, so I'm not surprised by that at all. Looking at the board that I see here now, honestly, I would love to get Zay Flowers from Boston College if he falls down there. I think look, they're gonna have to get some sort of a receiver. I feel it's kind of it's their wildest need. I would love, and don't get me wrong, I would love Michael Mayer from Notre Dame. I'm a Notre Dame guy at heart. However, I do understand that obviously getting Darren Waller is kind of taking away from that. But Michael Mayer is basically a wide receiver who plays tight end. He's like Kyle Pitts. So I like Mayer a lot. If they're going to go true wide receiver, I like Zay Flowers. Don't know much about Quentin Johnson. I know obviously he had 1,000 yards this year for TCU with Max Duggan. Pretty good player. I don't know exactly what to expect on that end. If there's anybody else who I like.
He's the number 4 wide receiver in the top wide receivers this year.
He's supposed to fall here. I'm seeing him in the second round, but Jalen Hyatt from Tennessee. Hendon Hooker was a great quarterback this year. I think that he would be a really good player to join up with Daniel Jones. Fits kind of the system that they're running. Obviously, a running quarterback could very well fit with exactly what he had with Hendon Hooker. My only hope and dream. I want the Giants to take Isaiah Foskey at some point in this draft. Graduate student out of Notre Dame, a terrific All-American middle linebacker, fits exactly what they need. They need somebody who can perform on the outside and keep it in tight on the inside on the defensive front. I think he fits the mold here. I want to see where he's projected. He's projected 53rd, so he'll be a late second round pick. If they can get him in the third round, I'd be more than happy with that. That'd be a great pick for them. So that's kind of where I'm going.
As a Giants fan, what would you be more terrified of the Eagles doing? trading for Derrick Henry or drafting Bijan Robinson?
Oh, Derrick Henry by far. Well, I don't care the fact that they will be giving up a ton of capital. I am scared shitless of that man. He's incredible, and
Especially
like
behind our O line.
And like the narrative that he's going to fall off, get the hell out of here. He really won't. He's still so good, and there's so many years to go. In terms of the Eagles, though, I think it's a fascinating topic of discussion. That obviously they don't have. They have what? They have one pick, right, or two picks?
Two. We have number 10 and number 30.
There you go. So, who they take at 10, I think, is really kind of an up in the air thing. They need somebody on the defensive side. I mean, Devon Witherspoon from Illinois was filthy this year, despite playing in like the worst sir of the Big Ten. He's most certainly somebody who should absolutely be on your radar. I think honestly, because of the fact that he is being obviously he's in a court battle and it's kind of not helping him. But if Jalen Carter falls to 10, it's a home run.
That's who I want.
The home run
because it's one of those things where yes, he's got the off the field issue going on right now, but when you have like your college behind you, the coaches at the school that you went to behind you, and on top of that, you'd be reuniting Jalen Carter with two of his best friends on the Eagles roster with Nakobe Dean and Jordan Davis. It's a slam dunk in this new look defense with Desai as the defensive coordinator.
The only other guy, though, that I think would also fit, and this would be a case of if they opt to trade back, Nolan Smith is also a great play if they want to go with somebody again from Georgia, but they also want a little more a little bit of versatility on the front seven. That's
Nolan Smith is like Hassan Reddick 2.0.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's an idea. But dude, Jalen Carter, if he falls back, it's an absolute home run to anybody who gets him. Jalen Carter should honestly be the first pick in this draft, to be totally honest with you. He is by far the best player in the draft. Of course, obviously, the Panthers and Texans have needs. They need a quarterback. I get that. But he's the best player in this draft. And I know for a fact that he will slide behind Will Anderson because Will Anderson is the polished, buttoned-up guy who everyone's like, oh, he's a really nice dude. He kind of fits the mold here. He's just a great culture guy. And they're going to stroke him until he evidently goes to Arizona and just busts the exact same way that they're currently ruining Isaiah Simmons. It's the same song.
They were ruining Hassan Reddick.
They were, exactly. So then again, everything kind of just flusters out in Arizona. That's going to do it all for us here on the Getting the Whole podcast. Steve McAvoy, KB again in for Jake Dipple. Don't worry, guys. Jake will come back eventually. He's just late in the office. Doesn't have a lot of time. He's got to handle those criminal cases, man. It's a grind for a lawyer. This is what happens when you go from a golf pro to a lawyer. They lose track of time and they lose love for you. It's whatever. It is what it is. Enjoy the week here in Mexico. If John Rahm wins again, you can win a Chipotle Bowl. Like, subscribe, and do all that good stuff on our socials, on our channels, on YouTube, of course, on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And we will see you next week for the Wells Fargo. Thanks for listening to Get in the Hole, the official golf podcast of Underground Sports Philadelphia. Catch us every week wherever you get your favorite podcasts, and be sure to like and subscribe on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Get in the Hole Pod, and follow Underground Sports Philadelphia at Underground PHI. We'll see you next time, and remember, get in the hole!